and welcome to another edition of Trader Talk TV. We're virtual today because we have Jackie Paulino from Pixability coming in from the West Coast. Jackie, is that right? Are you in the West Coast?
Well, East Coast, but west of you, yeah.
West of me, but
Massachusetts, yeah.
east of the West Coast. Okay, brilliant. And Jackie's the Chief Product Officer at Pixability. And Jackie, we'll just do a quick intro of what you do at Pixability and a little bit about Pixability as well, if you could, please.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me, and thanks for letting me join remote. So Pixability is an advertising technology company. We're focused on YouTube and connected TV, and YouTube on connected TV. We've scored billions of videos across YouTube and CTV where ads have run, and we've categorized all of that content. So we're really focused on making advertisers run their ads where they want to be, brand suitable, brand safe, and making sure that they're contextually aligned with where they would want to be and places they would want to support with their media dollars.
Very good. Every man, woman, and dog is talking about CTV and the growth of CTV, and we're going to focus on that today. And we're going to talk about first about the brand suitability in CTV and some of the trends you're seeing, and then we're going to move into an area and have a particular focus in Europe, and then we're going to talk about why YouTube isn't considered part of the CTV ecosystem, which I find incredible. But we're going to talk a little bit about that. So, Jackie, first of all, talk about these brand suitability issues in CTV. I would imagine there's quite a few because we seem to have an explosion in inventory, and when there's an explosion of inventory, ad tech just misbehaves. So let's talk about the brand suitability issues you're seeing in CTV right now.
Sure. Yeah. First, just to be clear, we're not talking necessarily about brand safety in the CTV world. When we're talking about YouTube or any user-generated content, there's sometimes more safety issues. So just to be clear, we're talking about brand suitability, which is more around contextual alignment. And I'll actually just go ahead and
which is even more important than brand safety in many instances, especially when you're coming to like, automated buys.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also about, brands feeling good about the content they're supporting. So, if you can see my screen here, I've got an example of, nightclub night scene, and would an advertiser, auto advertiser want to be right aligned with kind of a drinking scene or content. Those are the kinds of things that we're seeing in CTV. Horror films, adult focused films. Would a CPG home brand really want to be supporting that kind of content?
Okay, interesting. Interesting. So like the brands are actually talking about that specific problem for them because they don't want to be aligned with that type of content, especially if it's a, basic sort of a conservative type of brand that wants a uniform audience versus sort of like an edgy brand that doesn't mind that type of content.
Yeah, exactly. And content that's made for kids is also comes up a lot, and it's something that, again, it's not a brand safety issue, but first of all, is that really your audience, or is it parents put the TV on and then they've left the room? So it's also a wasted impression kind of story as well. Making sure that your ad dollars are working best for you.
How are you addressing these problems? Because it seems to be like it's a massive issue. Like the more inventory that comes online, the bigger the problem.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we have categorized content. We actually look in the video files on connected TV. So we're able to label that there is alcohol in this scene, that this is a cartoon, etc. And we are using industry standard taxonomies. So again, that's another problem, is everybody's kind of using all different things, different rating systems, et cetera, especially as we start to talk about this in a global lens instead of just, US only or UK, et cetera. So we've partnered with IAB as well as GARM, which is a Global Alliance for Responsible Media. And we use their taxonomies of safety, suitability, and content taxonomies to categorize our content. And on CTV, again, we're looking in the video files to be able to say, label what we see in the frames. So not just looking at something like the title or episode description.
You've highlighted some transparency issues in CTV, and I wonder if you could sort of elaborate or expand on that. What do you mean by that? Because that's that's quite broad,
Sure.
sort of.
Yeah, so
interpretation.
a lot of CTV buyers are coming from traditional linear TV buying, right? So they're used to buying a TV show. Full transparency, I know
Mm.
it's going to air at 7:30. I know that it's prime time, and I know, I've talked to the actors, and I'm super excited about being in front of that show. CTV is sort of the opposite, where you really don't. It's kind of a black box, honestly. You can typically buy genre based. I want sports, but I need to trust who I'm buying from. If I'm buying, a private marketplace deal, that I agree with that categorization. And again, that it's not sports to me might mean football, soccer, but do I want boxing or kind of more extreme sports in that as well? That's another thing we're trying to solve for, is providing the full show lists for within our marketplace deals. Again, we've just heard that as a big pain point
Well, they have no idea how to categorize the content, and as if they're kind of buying blind. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, that exactly. Unless you go publisher to publisher, which is, not a scalable way to buy connected TV. I know we're gonna like later transition into talking more about YouTube as a connected TV player, but I will just say this is also not a problem on YouTube on TV, which is kind of interesting. You can really understand where your ads have run at the video level and channel level on YouTube. So just an interesting nuance there.
Can you just change gears, right? I want to talk a little bit about CTV growth in Europe and the trends you guys are seeing. Do you have some sort of data around that?
Sure. Yeah. Again, sort of switching over to focus on YouTube. I mean, it's a little bit different than what we're seeing in the US. UK is one of our fastest growing markets, but that growth is led very heavily by YouTube as a streaming service on TV screens, just because of the general cost of TV in the UK and how people are buying streaming services. It is very different for advertisers in the UK and Europe compared to the US, where in the US, many people just have completely cut cable and rely entirely on streaming services. But we see the same growth in the US as we're seeing in the UK. And you can see here, YouTube's the #1 streaming service in the UK by a lot. And again, in the yellow bars here are what are ad supported. Obviously, this is going to change in 2023. Some of these other players on top are going to turn from blue to yellow. But as of right now, YouTube is sort of the #1 place to serve your ads.
And is this YouTube actually on the TV screen in the front room? Because which is incredible. So this is sort of like people going straight to YouTube, watching it on a TV in your living room or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. This is the YouTube app on a TV screen.
Interesting. And is that 93% of adults are using that? Is that true? Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, so just a couple more stats here too. So 94% are watching the platform, are turning on YouTube. And again, UK consumers are all ages are watching, but obviously the younger demographics spend the most time on YouTube compared to other ways to watch video. And they just watch a ton of content. I think people don't necessarily realize how much YouTube they're watching, but on average in the UK, adults are watching 45 minutes per day of YouTube, which is a lot of time.
It is. My daughter manages to get the remote control and she could go straight to some sort of baby talk thing, which is quite incredible how she's managed to do that already. So she's part of your 94%. So let's talk about that interesting stat. Then, like, YouTube is increasingly being used across smart TVs, right? And CTV. Give us an idea of this lean back application of YouTube, because YouTube's primarily been seen as sort of OTT, sort of another extension of just buying programmatic video. But like this is sort of like YouTube sort of like is part of that wider CTV ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, again, from a consumer standpoint, YouTube's done a really good job of creating channels that make it easy to have that lean back experience. Like YouTube movies, you can watch all the blockbuster movies that you would find anywhere else, that you could rent or buy. And there's ad supported. We serve a ton of ads actually on the YouTube movies channel. So there's ad supported options as well. So you can watch full length movies, TVs, and actually what we see from, again, where you're serving your ads alongside that content, it actually works best on TV screens compared to desktop and mobile. So this is, again, on YouTube, another thing that makes YouTube interesting is you also only pay if somebody chooses to watch the ad as an advertiser. You know, that button that everybody knows after 5 seconds, you have the ability to skip the ad. So people choose to do that less on TV screens. So 67% of people watch the entire ad on a TV screen compared to 40% on mobile and 54% on desktop.
So hold on. So these are skippable percentages. 40. Oh, so this is ads watched. So 40% watch on mobile, 54% on desktop, and actually there's nearly 70% of people watch ads on the TV.
Yep, and they chose to complete the entire ad. So if it's a 30-second ad, let's say, they did not hit that skip button the entire 30 seconds.
And within the I'm just interested within the buying interface for YouTube, do you get the opportunity to serve ads just to CTV, or is it kind of like a total? So you'll see this ad on TV, and does that mean that a buyer can actually say, well, traditional TV ads will work better in this environment versus a mobile versus a desktop?
Yes, you can do that. You can segment by device. We've really tried to push that with our clients to start segmenting and thinking about their TV strategy on YouTube different than their mobile. There's all sorts of interesting ad units, like YouTube Shorts that's coming out for mobile. And that is more kind of like a TikTok competitor. But you would want to have a different creative. You would need to on a mobile phone for that ad unit compared to something on a TV screen.
So question then, why is YouTube being ignored as a key CTV ad inventory supplier? I remember an article that Mike Shields wrote some time ago talk about, you know, that basically the YouTube was the killer app really for CTV. Why do you think it's been ignored generally as a CTV inventory source? Is it because of its legacy mobile desktop piece? What's your thinking on this?
Yeah, I think the consumer shift has happened, as I've said. I mean, people are watching YouTube more on TV screens than other streaming platforms. I think it's advertisers, the people who are doing the media buying are a little bit behind the consumer shift. And there are still people who think of YouTube as the place where you're going to go watch, you know, a dog video, and it's not this like long form content. When the truth is, like, HBO released House of Dragons episode 1 on YouTube. You could stream it there without having, you know, HBO Max, and they use that as a lead generation. But like, there's sort of no more premium content, I don't think, than maybe I'm biased, than Game of Thrones on HBO. And that's the kind of stuff that people are watching on YouTube. So, you know, it's interesting. I think the advertiser shift, I think YouTube's been around for so long. It's kind of created a brand, like you said, of mobile desktop. So it's kind of having a hard time breaking away and rebranding itself. You know, I just use the analogy of, like, it took Netflix a little while to become labeled as a streaming service. It you know, was a blockbuster DVD mail to you competitor, right? After a while, it's like, now you think of it, it's, you know, the #1 streaming service. I think YouTube's going through that similar shift right now.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's most sort of TV buyers are allocating a percentage of their spend to CTV. Should buyers be considering sort of YouTube for addressable TV allocation? Like, it should be part of that mix, or is there a lot, like, as you say, is there still as user generated content channel, which what is how I would describe YouTube, to be honest with you. maybe unfairly because I don't really watch it that much, but I'm sort of an outlier because I see people using it all the time on big TV screens. But how should they approach this then? What's the sort of thinking around this? Because they'll say, is this really TV? Or is it just UGC stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is. There's a few ways to answer that question. So yes, I mean, I hope I conveyed it is kind of a CTV solution. There is premium content, and the ideal way to buy it would be to slice off, the TV portion and compare it to how it's working to other CTV publishers. Like the other analogy I'll use is, does it really matter if to an advertiser, if someone's watching Hell's Kitchen streaming on the Fox app, watching it live on Fox, or if they're watching it on YouTube, the highlights and full episodes on the Hell's Kitchen YouTube channel. And that's how people watch content now. They might have missed it. They go to YouTube to watch the full episode or to share it with their friends. So again, like from a content perspective, YouTube is really that. It has a ton of that, and it does have other things that are more like niche, types of passions for people. So there is much more, content options. But people are watching it on TV screens. And again, you can get full transparency into where your ads have run on YouTube. So that's like another thing. If an advertiser is concerned about, running only on premium inventory, partners like Pixability, we can help curate that so that
you can use Pixability to curate the TV piece. Do you want TV? Do you want UGC? Do you want this? You want that? So you can run like top of the funnel branding piece across quality TV inventory.
Exactly, yeah, and pick the channels and videos that you want to run on, and we'll give you a full list. We do the same on CTV as well, but we can give on YouTube, here are the exact channels that you would run on, and then when you post campaign, full reporting into understanding where your ads have run. And again, really focus on that premium inventory if that's important, or also ad performance, really understanding in-store traffic. That's another good thing about YouTube, is you can really get full funnel kind of analytics and analysis, and optimize towards conversions, in-store traffic, et cetera.
Yeah. And do you see an attitude change then this year towards this? Do you see people starting to kind of realize that, wow, like, this is now a CTV channel, like?
Yeah, it depends on who we talk to, for sure. I think again, there's still some people who are a little bit behind the consumer shift. But I think the pendulum is starting to swing, and people are excited about the opportunity of like a low CPM, really good reach channel.
Yeah. All right, Jackie, that was great. I expect that there'll be some questions and some very angry naysayers about this, but I have to tend to agree with you. The YouTube channels are definitely YouTube is definitely becoming a lean back experience for a lot of people in the home. As a performance channel, it's quite interesting to run spend across it. So that's great. Thanks for your time, Jackie. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And that was Trader Talk TV, and we will see you next time.